welcome back to Premier League Primetime. And finally, it's been a while. I've asked these two here since for God knows how long, since the show began way back in September to come on. But 11 months later, still good enough. And I've finally got them on. We've got James Reddington and Thomas Soutthey. How are both of you doing?
Doing great.
Great.
I'm doing amazing.
And I'm enjoying the nice sunlight over there in Puerto Vallarta at the moment.
Yeah, it's actually pretty windy and rainy right now, but it's been pretty good.
Oh,
Yep.
no kidding. And James, buddy, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Thinking about that CIF final loss. I know.
Yeah, that one was tough for me to take. That one was very tough for me to take. But big up Thomas for getting the dub in the final. And then my former high school's brilliant coach, just coaching masterclass. But yeah, away from him, let's get right into what we were planning to talk about. And James, I'll start with you. From a Chelsea perspective, I know you are a Blue at heart. Looking at their summer transfer window, they haven't done much, but they have splashed out £150 million to sign former striker Romelu Lukaku. What are your thoughts on this, and what do you think Lukaku could bring to Chelsea?
Oh, I think Lukaku is a great player. He's big, strong, and he scores lots of goals. So I think he'll be a great replacement. Not sure what formation we're gonna play. Maybe a 4-4-2 with world-class player Timo Werner up top.
Striker.
So I think we're just gonna feed Romelu Lukaku the ball and score a bunch of goals, and I think we'll finish first.
Right, well, I mean, they answered a later question I have about who's going to win the Premier League, but yeah, I mean, what you said is basically true there. Lukaku is a world-class striker at the end of the day. He's gone to Inter and he's more or less found himself and found his form again, and he had a good Euros as well, and he's I think he'll suit the way they play. I mean, they play counter-attacking football with that back five and with that front three as well. But the difference is Lukaku's not the most dynamic of players, but I think he's that striker they need for them to get the goals. And staying with Chelsea and the way they play, what have your thoughts been on Thomas Tuchel's job so far at Chelsea? He's came in January and he won them the Champions League right away when Chelsea looked nowhere near to be winning any trophy at that point. Thoughts on Thomas Tuchel, James?
I think Tuchel's brilliant. I think he's a great coach, and I think he is going to do really well with Chelsea this year. I think he's got to know the team better. I think he still needs to, after being champions of Europe, it's hard to, go back to a season and do it all over again. But I think Tuchel could do it. And I think we're going to be really good this year.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think
Chelsea. I got to deal with his duck situation real quick, James. I'll be right back.
All right.
Yeah, I have no doubt that that Chelsea are going to be formidable this year. I think from my opinion, I think they're the only team that could really offer any threat to City's title challenge, to be quite honest with you. As a Chelsea fan, looking right upon the season starts, what are your expectations for this Chelsea side, in your opinion? Where does Chelsea need to finish, in your opinion, to say that this has been a successful season?
Wow, that's a great question, Daveye. For me personally, I feel like if we finish in the top three, I'll be satisfied and I'll be happy. as long as we're above Manchester United, that'll make me really happy. And
See, I don't think that's gonna happen. I got down.
All right. And then I think Champions League wise, I think we're gonna get far, but I don't know if we'll win because PSG have a team of dreams. So you never know, though.
No, you don't. You make a great point there. I mean, if someone had told me last January that Chelsea were going to win the Champions League, I would have thought that you would have been vaping or something, honestly, or something, or smoking something seriously strong because Chelsea looks nowhere near like champions. But looking at this squad and what Chelsea have right now, who, in your opinion, do you think will be Chelsea's most important player? Maybe not necessarily the best, but their most key and important player for them to bring them success this season.
I'd say I'd probably go with Jorginho.
Yeah, that's a great shout, to be honest.
Yeah, just because he's a key player in the midfield, and he has that responsibility of playing well, and playing well, means bringing his team, moving one side, moving from to the defensive, maybe midfield third, and bringing it to the offensive third, and then being a good talker on the field as well. I think he's really good at that, and I think with his new hairstyle, he'll do great.
Yeah, I mean, personally, for me, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I can't deny. I mean, look, I've given this guy so much stick for literally, I think, for like the past 2 seasons because I didn't know what he brought other than just penalties and just side to side passing, and passing 5 yards, and that's about it. But this season, or since Tuchel's come in, he's been phenomenal, and he had a phenomenal Euros for me. He was one of the best midfielders in Euros for me, so I think he'll definitely be a key player for them going forward, as well. Who do you think Chelsea's player of the season by the end of it? Just purely by prediction, who do you think their player of the season will be?
Probably N'Golo Kante. I'm gonna go with N'Golo Kante. Yeah, an excellent season last year, and I think he's gonna do it all again.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's. I think it's a known fact by now that he's a world class player. I think any team in the world would dream of having that guy in their midfield. I mean, it's that simple. And on the flip side, looking at the highest highs, but now who do you think is going to be at the lowest of lows? Who do you think is going to be the biggest disappointment or will flop this season for Chelsea?
I have no idea. Well, maybe I'm thinking Timo Werner, or maybe
Werner.
Yeah, maybe Timo Werner, just because we've got Lukaku now, and I think with him up front, Lukaku is just gonna steal the show and just score lots of banging goals, and Timo Werner is gonna be, getting subbed out in like the 35th minute. So, yeah.
I mean, that's not a bad shout, to be honest with you. I mean, looking at all the attacking options that they have, I mean, Chelsea are going to want to, at least have players on the pitch that can actually point to a badge correctly, or their club crest correctly, and can stay on side, because I know Timo Werner at the moment can't really do any of those things, but he'll get there. Lastly, who do you actually think is going to win the league?
Who do I actually think is going to win the league?
Or do you actually think Chelsea will win the Premier League this season?
I think it's either going to be Manchester City or Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty fair shout, to be honest with you. I mean, those are my top two as well. But look, Chelsea look exciting this season. And actually, last question. Looking at this current squad now, do you think Chelsea need to sign or bring in anybody else?
I don't see the need to. We got a We got a solid back line. We got Thiago Silva. He's experienced. We've got Ben Chilwell. I feel like we have a really solid back line. Our midfield's good. We've got N'Golo. Jorginho's been playing really well. And then our forwards, we've got Mount, Pulisic, Lukaku, Havertz. I think it's, one of the best Chelsea squads.
Yeah. I mean that squad is so much squad depth. I think if Chelsea signed a center back for me, because Thiago Silva's he's not getting any younger. He had a great season last season, but he's not getting any younger. He's 36, and when he goes, you're gonna have a gaping hole there. So I mean, maybe signing a younger, or like Jules Koundé. I'm gonna throw out that name. Youngsters, Frenchman plays for Sevilla. For those who don't know or heard of Jules Koundé, I think that's a perfect one for Chelsea to bring in. But any other thoughts on Chelsea for this upcoming season, James, before we shift to the club that will definitely finish above Chelsea this season?
I think I'm very excited for this Chelsea season. I think we'll do really well in both Champions League and in the Premier League. And I know for a fact we're going to finish top fours, as long as we, get into the Champions League next year, I'll be happy. So yeah, I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah. Look, from a neutral standpoint, all the best and best of luck to Chelsea. But I hope they finish outside the top four. But no, they won't. If they don't finish in the top four, I'll be shocked. I will be absolutely shocked. Anyways, shifting over to the beloved club that is crested on my back wall there. Thomas, over to you. As a Manchester United fan and looking at the upcoming season, I'll start with the business done in the summer. Jadon Sancho, as I said, thank the Lord that saga is over. As I said in the opener, was lying on a beach in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. When my phone went off, I took a look and I saw Fabrizio Romano update Jadon Sancho to Manchester United. Here we go, and it was done. And I was like, oh, happy days! And I got up from the middle of lying in the sun, and I just jumped in the ocean for joy because that's one of the most joyful moments because that marked an end to an incredibly long 2 years.
That is true. And I'm excited about that as well. I remember talking about it when Fabrizio dropped the news. So that was exciting. I have a question for you. What are your thoughts on this whole Varane situation?
Look, Rafael Varane for me. I was going to ask you that question next, but I guess we can just open dialogue. I guess that works. He's a world-class player at the end of the day. 4 times Champions League winner. He's come in. The quarantine period's just been the reason why he hasn't signed or officially been registered or been deemed by Solskjaer as ready for the Leeds game. I doubt he'll be ready for the Leeds game. But at the end of the day, it's a world-class player that you're getting in. And it's someone that we desperately need. The pace that he'll bring, the experience, he's good in the air, he's good on the ball. And for me, he's just an upgrade on Lindelof in every single way, shape, and form. What are your thoughts on Varane?
Commonly the same thing, really. It's exciting. Definitely see players like that coming in. I think yesterday was when he got his medical done, but I don't see him playing against Leeds. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he brings. It's exciting for sure.
Would you say that Manchester United need to sign any other players this window, or do you think, no, this is perfect and we're ready to go, or do you think we still need to add players?
I think they've done their business with it, and I think they've done a pretty good job. Obviously, you'd like to see world-class players come into a world-class club like that. So if they can get their hands on another good, I'd say left winger, right winger, I don't know exactly who. But now that Sancho's in there, I think we're pretty set, to be honest. I think we're pretty set. I'm excited that Martial's not going to leave, because he's been one of my favorite players since I was a young.
Big fan of him.
Yeah, so I want to see him do well for sure. He's a world-class player. He just hasn't really gotten in his groove yet. So I want him to do well. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I think they've done their stuff, and I'm excited to watch them this year. So what about you? What do you think?
I mean, well, I love Anthony Martial. I think he's a great player. I think he has a lot of different attributes as a 9 that I don't think Edinson Cavani has. I don't think Mason Greenwood has. I think his hold of play is phenomenal. I just think his confidence got annihilated to shreds last season ever since that Eric Lamela red card thing, and we got battered by Tottenham. I just think his confidence has been shattered and it's gone out the door. I think it's a bit of a stretch to call him world class. I love the guy, I really do, but I don't think he's world class. I don't think so. I think that if he really focuses and he cuts the injuries and he shows signs that he's getting progressively better, then maybe, perhaps. But as of right now, I don't see him being super world class. Regarding players, I think we are in dire need of a defensive midfielder because Nemanja Matic, he's served the club well, but his legs are gone.
I think I don't know. I read something about him going to Inter or something like that. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah.
I'm not surprised at that. He's a Jose Mourinho guy.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't. He hasn't left not by now. I think if we get a defensive midfielder, someone not Jorginho himself, but someone of that similar style. For me, because for me, I just don't think we, especially with Varane and Maguire, those two don't need babysitting. They don't need protection like Lindelof and Maguire did. Because for me, I don't want to see McFred in that midfield pivot, because if I do, who knows? I mean, I could suffer from a stroke of boredom, because that will honestly bore me. Please, not McFred. I can't, because there's no creativity there, honestly. And neither of them are defensive midfielders, anyways. But I mean, I think Fred's more suited to the job, but I just think personally, for me, I think they're both best as squad players. But Ruben Neves, I'll just throw out that name. I think he's perfect.
Yeah. I think McTominay has his moments as well as Fred. But like you said, I don't like seeing them both on the field at the same time. So I'll be interested to see what they do with that for sure. But yeah, like a lot of it's going to be interesting to see, to be honest, with everything going
100%.
And how Varane and Sancho, but that'll be cool. Sure. Can't wait to.
I got a question.
Yeah.
What do you think about? Do you think Ole is still a good manager?
That was actually going to be the very next question I was going to throw out, actually. In terms of Ole, they're not going to sack him. It just won't happen. They've given him the players that he needs. For me, I think he deserves a season just to be given to let him work with the players that he now has, because he has 2 world-class players at his disposal now, and Varane and Jadon Sancho. So I think it'd only be fair to let him work with it to see what he does. But in terms of the tactics, if I see the same shit as I've seen the past few seasons, then he needs to go. And Thomas, I was actually going to ask you that. What's your thoughts on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Are you Ole in, Ole out, shake it all about?
Yeah. I'd say I'm half and half. Like you said, with the tactics, he needs to shake some shit up, to be quite honest. And I think he'll be able to do that with the new signings we have coming in. But I liked it. Like, he was just that new guy that kind of found the groove a little bit early on when he became the manager. And everybody was excited and raving about him. But like you said, now it's just kind of the same old shit. So, I'm half and half. I'd say half and half. But
Yeah,
I think he could definitely sway that with this season coming up for sure.
definitely.
Yeah, I think he's a shit manager, and Thomas Tuchel's a lot better.
Well, James, thank you very much for throwing out a very obvious statement there. It's not like Thomas Tuchel has managed PSG and Borussia Dortmund and won the Champions League and has won the league in France and has done well in Germany. No, it's not like that hasn't happened yet, has it? Yeah, no. I don't think that's a question. Thomas Tuchel. And speaking of Thomas Tuchel, back in December time when Thomas Tuchel got sacked, I got loads of abuse because I was saying, bring this guy in. He's an amazing coach. Bring him in, please. And all he was doing poorly at the time, and they decided to ride with him. And Chelsea snapped up Tuchel, and I said, watch Chelsea. They're going to look so much better. And lo and behold, I was right. But for Solskjaer, I think you just have to give him time to work with, Varane and Sancho and let him implement them both. But I think our problem is getting players out the door. I think we need to get more players out the door because to be honest with you, I mean, we have more dead wood than I can't even imagine. I mean, we have so much dead wood. It's ridiculous. I mean, there are so many players I think need to go. They're taking up wage space. And the one thing with Chelsea, I will say, they are a very, very well-run football club. And they have an owner, Roman Abramovich, who does not accept anything other than success, and he's a winning mentality. And the Glazers just are not the same. They're just not. Saying it from a completely neutral perspective, they accept Champions League money. They don't say, Ollie, you need to win the Premiership, get semifinals minimum of the Champions League, or you're out of a job. They're happy to settle for basically average. That's
yeah. From my point of view, I think Chelsea's just like a better club, just like based off the past few years. We've just
they're a better ran club. That's they have better owners and they have a better structure. That's not even a question. Frank Lampard, who's beloved by all Chelsea fans, was basically taking this Chelsea side, flushing them down the drain. Roman said, "Not good enough. Goodbye. Bye-bye. See you later. Bring in Tuchel. Next man comes in." Ruthless owners. I just don't think the Glazers are really ruthless owners, in my opinion. But in terms of players need to go out the door. How Phil Jones is still on our books, I have absolutely no idea. The guy's injured more than half the time. His legs are basically made of glass. So if he falls, injured again, out for like another like 2 months or so. How we have 4 goalkeepers on our roster who, if you total up their salaries, they make roughly $700,000 a week. I can't be bothered with that either. But one question I do want to throw out to you, Thomas. Paul Pogba, he's a world-class player, regardless of what anyone says, regardless of what team you support. He's a world-class player at the end of the day. But you look at his contract situation. It's been pretty well known now that he's been flirting very, very heavily with a move out the door. He has now a year left on his contract. What do you do with Paul Pogba? Would you keep him for the season, or would you try and sell him and get maybe 40, 50 million because he has a year left on his contract, recoup some money for him? Or would you keep him for the season and try and negotiate a new deal, or be willing to lose him on a free by the end of the window?
That's a good question, actually. I think Paul, like you said, Paul Pogba is 100% a world-class player, no matter what club you support. And he's just fun to watch. He's fun to watch for sure. And with that being said, he does a lot of great things for the club. And honestly, I think if I was in charge right now, I would keep him for this season. I think he'll play a big role in a championship run. And you got to think about the free agency at the end of the contract. But I feel like if we do come out and do well, maybe even win the Prem, second, whatever it is, I think if we do well, he would want to stay.
Yeah.
What do you think?
For me, give the guy the money he wants. It's that simple. If he wants 400 grand a week, give him 400 grand a week. It's a player who's worth it. He's inconsistent, but he's a world-class player.
Yeah.
And people are going to turn that, oh, but you gave Alexis Sanchez 500 grand a week when he signed from Arsenal. Listen, this guy was declining, and he was unmotivated. When I saw the rumors, I was like, no, please, no, don't sign him. And then when they signed him, I knew it was going to be a disaster. He broke our wage structure. But for me, this guy is someone who's a world-class player. He always gives his best for the club. He always gives 100%. For me, it's really simple. Do everything you can to keep this guy, honestly.
Exactly.
If this guy wants 400 grand a week, give it to him. If this guy says, oh, the club need to, supply me with, unlimited, free haircuts, whenever and whatever I want, give it to him. It's that simple, to be quite honest with you. Expectations for the season now. What are your expectations for Man United this season? Yes, James.
All right, never mind. You guys can go first.
I don't know. Like, I wasn't thinking we were gonna do two. I thought we'd be high mid-table. But now that we signed Varane and Sancho, that does change a lot. And it could be for the better, for the worse. I'm hoping the better. I'm hoping that these guys, not everybody gets along at Man United, obviously, but I'm hoping they do. I'm hoping they morph the team better. And if they get their shit together and do it right, I think we could see them, second, third, maybe even winning the Premier League. So I don't know. It's going to be a super tough, almost maybe one of the toughest, you could argue, years of the Prem for sure. With all these, giants coming out, Chelsea, Liverpool, City, it'll be tough, but it'll definitely be fun to watch, and I'm excited to see. But yeah, I think if we can get our stuff together, I think we can win a lot of games and do really well.
Do you expect Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to win silverware at all this season, for him to still be in a job?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. For me, he has to win something. The Premier League, of course, won't be easy. The Champions League, of course, won't be easy either. But for me, this guy has to win something, because this guy just, this guy bottles it more than. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to my former high school, but Ole has bottled it more than Loyola has in recent years gone by in the semifinals. I'm not even joking. not due to the players on the pitch, but Ole to semifinals is basically a certain coach and the CIF, because that coach is just phenomenal when I want. He reminds me with Ole and his tactics. James, what do you have to say?
I was just gonna ask you guys a question. You guys haven't talked about Bruno Fernandes at all.
That's a great point. Bruno Fernandes. This guy is he's had arguably one of the worst Euros that I've ever seen. He was absolutely dreadful in the Euros. Didn't really do anything in the Euros other than I think he got in his 1 or 2 assists. Expectations for Bruno Fernandes this season. Thomas, what are you making for Bruno this upcoming season?
I think he'll do well. I think with the signings we got, it'll give him some, energy, some something to be excited about for sure. And maybe that motivation, seeing these guys come in, will make him play better, hopefully. But like you said, he did have a pretty shit Euro Cup, so I'm not too sure. How about you?
For me, it's a big season for him. And he's been here now for just over a year and a half. And for me, he needs to hit the ground running. Hopefully, he got lots of rest because he's. For me, he's on another level for me when I look at
Yeah.
midfielders in the world right now. And that brings me. Who do you think our most important player is going to be this season?
Well, like we were talking about, I think definitely Paul Pogba. And I could see, I don't know, I could see, Varane being really, really good for us, like really, really good. Sancho, not so much, but I still see him doing really well. Pogba for sure. And if you're correct about Bruno, then definitely Bruno. How about you?
For me, two players come to mind, and for me, it's the two players that came in the running for Player of the Year this past season: Luke Shaw and Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes, I think it's safe to say that I think even James, who as a Chelsea fan, this guy's a world class player at the end of the day. He's really ahead and shoulders above most attacking midfielders that I've seen in the world. Speaking of Chelsea, he does the Jorginho run up better than Jorginho himself. So hey, he's head and shoulders above him, and penalties, of course. But for me, his presence is going to be largely needed in the side. But Luke Shaw, someone who not only I, up until roughly early November, criticized heavily due to lack of good performances, but he's going to be hugely important down that left-hand side. James, what are your thoughts on Luke Shaw?
I think Luke Shaw is a critical for your team. He's an attacking, kind of plays a left wing back role. He's critical in getting forward, and I think with the new players and a new good attacking squad, you guys are going to be dangerous if he works his way up into the final third and combines with Sancho, Rashford, whoever's up there. He play a really vital role.
Yeah, 100%. Thomas, is Roberto Carlos the best left back in the world at the moment?
No.
Who is? I'm not saying that he is, but who in your opinion is?
I have no idea. What would you say?
For me, he's the best left back in the Premier League. He has been.
Yeah.
And for me,
yeah,
I know what's going to go through James's head. Oh no, what about Chilwell? Ben Chilwell from Leicester. Oh no, Ben Chilwell.
Well, I was actually going to say, Jordi Alba. Jordi Alba is really good.
Yeah.
Jordi Alba's good.
He's a very good left back. But for me, Jordi Alba, my issue with Jordi Alba is that when I watch him for Barcelona, this guy is very good going forward, but at times defensively, he just switches off. I don't watch much of La Liga, but when I see this guy play, for La Liga, fans of PLBT that are watching this, correct me if I'm wrong, but almost every time I see this guy play and someone goes, down the left-hand side, he'll just kind of back off a bit, and it's not what you want in a left back defensively. He's great going forward, though. I do have to say he is good going forward, but I think Luke Shaw has had a better season. I don't know if you've seen, but he is that unbelievably ridiculous stat that he's registered more assists than Lionel Messi has this past season.
Really?
Yes.
That's crazy. Yeah, he definitely had a great season. I don't know. Theo Hernandez is pretty good as well. But yeah, I guess I'd almost say Alphonso Davies is better than Jordi Alba, but Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, who
Big
knows?
responsibility for
Um,
sure.
who do you think will be Manchester United's best player come come at the end of the season?
It's got to be Bruno. If we're gonna have a successful season, it has to be Bruno Fernandes.
And who would you say is going to be our player of the year by the end of the season?
Luke Shaw.
Yeah, that's a good shout. That's a very good shout. For me, honestly, I think this is going to be a strange one, but for me, when I look at players that I think are going to have a great season, I think Harry Maguire is going to have a great season because he's not having to worry about babysitting and protecting Victor the Vacuum Lindelof. Because for me, when I see Magaluf at center back, it really does me over. I mean, for me, the effects of seeing that, are getting somewhat close to, the effects of COVID, honestly, because seeing
Yeah.
those two, it really does my head in. It really does. Because when I see those two, it's like, oh, here we go again. Victor the Vacuum and Harry the Hoover are back again to suck all the attacking energy and all the life out of our team. And it's like, here we go again. And that means McFred's being placed in front of them. And those four, please, I don't want to see it this season. Who do you think will be your biggest flop or disappointment this upcoming season?
I mean, if McFred gets that playing time, definitely one of them, 100%. But if they don't, hopefully it's not Martial. I'm praying it's not. But like, if he gets the playing time, I think, unless he, builds his confidence somehow and gets himself right, I could see it being him. Although I don't want it to be him. And maybe even I don't know. I don't know how Rashford's going to do this year. So could be a lot of players. How about you?
Yeah, the range, because the range varies. I mean, yeah, could very well be McFred. This is a tough one for me. For me, if somehow Victor Lindelof even gets anywhere near the first team, then for me it's definitely going to be Victor Lindelof, 100%, because he's just not good enough. I'd rather have Ura James at center back than Victor Lindelof, with all due respect to him. Honestly, I just honestly would. The Europa League final was just the prime example. Ball whipped into the box. Lindelof gets bullied by Gerard Moreno, and De Gea is already falling over. I'm just like, oh crap, here we go. Here comes 1-0, and they score. I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me right now. And yeah, the rest of that was history in it. Last question for you, Thomas. Who do you think is going to win the league this season?
Not being a biased Manchester United fan, I definitely think City has the best chance at winning it. I hate to say it, but Chelsea definitely as well. But City's got to be the number one for me.
Yes. Same here. Anyways, well, we've reached the end. I don't want to keep your vacation from holding you up, but is there anything else that you two want to throw out before we wrap the show up?
I think we're good.
Manchester United is going to finish ahead of Chelsea. Doubt my mind. Put a bet on that right now. We could do that.
I'll bet $150.
$150.
$150.
Looks like
$150.
I'll come over there and take your hand right now.
Well, and Thomas is now going over to. Oh yeah.
Just so that everybody can see this, $150, $150 that we finish ahead of them on the table.
There we go. Well, Thomas has said it here now. He thinks Man United will finish ahead of Chelsea. I think, yeah, it's going to be those two coming in for second. I don't see Liverpool getting very near either, any one of the big three for me, because Liverpool are just so poor in midfield and going forward. So, yeah. Anyways, that's all from us. If you've liked what you've seen, and especially from these two wonderful Manhattan Beach lads, look down in the description below, and not only that, smash a like, comment below. We're a very friendly bunch around here. And yeah, subscribe to the channel and follow us on all of our platforms, and wherever you're watching this in the world. Have a great day or evening.